Welcome back to TV Travis. I'm Travis. Wait, that can't be right. And today's my birthday, so I'm off to see a couple of my favorite YouTubers give a talk about why I'm depressed. This is a show called Kill the Internet, put on by CJ the X, one of my favorite YouTubers and an inspiration for this channel. You might have seen me laying on the ground in some of my earlier videos. That was CJ inspired. But enough of me yapping, let's get going. I don't really know what to expect from like YouTubers in real life, you know? So much of what we do is editing and like multiple takes and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see them, you know, give a live talk. This is gonna be a little different, I think, than the stuff I saw at Open Sauce. Kill the Internet seems a little pessimistic about the internet, actually. So we'll see what they have to say. In addition to CJ, there's also gonna be Michael from Wisecrack there. Gotta support our former Wisecrack people. I like Michael, but I do find him a little hard to connect with because he seems so tired in all of his videos all the time. And there's Dr. Fatima. I'm not really familiar with Dr. Fatima, but she's giving a talk about pseudoscience, which is what we talk about on this channel a lot. So honestly, she might be the one I'm most excited to see. Sorry, CJ. And then of course there's CJ who, if you don't know who they are, go check out their channel. They talk about art and philosophy and the meaning of life and stuff. All right, let's hit the road to San Francisco with a montage. I'm just gonna like rant while I drive, so deal. So back in the day, I used to suffer from depression, and then I cured it. I identified its root cause, and I took steps to mitigate its effects on my life and fixed myself. I cured my depression. Now I can't. The root causes of my depression are a little different than they used to be. The things that are causing it, I can't simply mitigate in my life and eliminate. They aren't self-imposed anymore. There's this thing that my mom and I keep talking about every time we have a phone call, and something that I think CJ is probably gonna bring up in their speech, the mass disenfranchisement of the world. There's an active and growing movement in the world to overwhelm it with nihilism. Because when people are nihilistic, you don't have plans for the future. You're more malleable because you're only thinking in the present. You're not planning for the future. You're not thinking about, you're not hopeful, really, is what it is. Climate change, capitalism, and a few other major hyper objects out there. They are such big problems, so all-encompassing and totalitarian that like any individual, when they think too hard about it, will go mad. As we descend into an authoritarian dictatorship, you know, that's what's been happening to me. This is a thing that essentially all of video essay YouTube is circling around right now. I've talked about this with my mom a bit, but you know, I don't really have an ability at the moment to picture what the future is going to look like. Or if I do, that future is not bright. It is not healthy. It's led to this sort of shortening of my focal distance in terms of my life. I no longer really think about the far and distant future because I don't think it's going to exist anymore. All of my thoughts are collapsed down into the present. That is a major cause of my depression because there is a hopelessness that is spreading across the world. Philosophical, moral hopelessness. Obviously, Trump is awful. Capitalism's awful. All these things are awful. But what can we do about them? Is there any way out of this current moment that we find ourselves stuck in? We did it. We made it to San Francisco. Right down there is where we're supposed to be at. This is pretty. View of the Golden Gate Bridge over here. There she is. The Golden Gate Bridge. I've got a video about travel coming out soon that I've been working on for like over a year and a half, just because I don't travel that much, you know? And I want to film it while I'm traveling. Hit that like and subscribe button or whatever. Every time I come to San Francisco, it is like traveling. It's like being on vacation. I get here like slightly early, so I'm going to explore this park. Whoa. Look at that thing. Look
Look at that. I don't know who this guy is, but he loves the Golden Gate Bridge. What the heck? Got like 4 eyes. I'm sure it means something.
So when I worked at Clickhole, we used to go over to the Cards Against Humanity headquarters where they had a black box theater. The writers at Clickhole would put together these PowerPoint presentations just for us. And they were a hoot. And walking into this place, that's kind of what I was expecting out of this. And it's an improv theater. They got a PowerPoint presentation up there. That's probably what I'm gonna get. And I wasn't wrong. This should be fun. I did improv for about like 5 years back in the day when I lived in Michigan. I don't think they're doing improv on the stage though. I think this is like a scripted kind of thing. Kill the Internet did end up being a series of 3 PowerPoint presentations, starting with Michael from Wisecrack, whose speech was about how to just be a normal guy.
So for those of you who don't know who I am, I make YouTube videos like a sex symbol guy. And I used to be a philosophy professor. I'm interested in using things that I went into a lot of debt to learn to help us understand the world a little bit better. And I'm excited to be here in this context for this event because I think the internet, it like sucks.
So in Michael's presentation, he talked about a book called Immediacy by Anna Kornblugh. That book ended up being a running theme throughout the entire night. So now I gotta go read it.
Something Kornblugh gets into in her book, again I recommend reading it, is video and the streaming nature of video on the internet and how that stream becomes a part of who we are and how we think.
Dr. Fatima's speech was, as anticipated, very good, while her overall speech was about pseudoscience. What she was focusing on was the technocracy movement of the 1920s and 30s.
It was right then and it's right now, right? Technological advances abound and we're all fucking broke.
See, everything that's happening currently played out 100 years ago, time is cyclical, and we all had to come together and solve these exact same problems. I enjoyed Michael and CJ's speeches, but Dr. Fatima's actually was the one that I think I remember the most. It's because of like where I'm at in my life and where I live and all that. So I'm not actually going to talk too much about CJ's set because I realized that's actually what I'm going to be talking about in some upcoming videos. So like and subscribe if you want to find out how to fix the mass disenfranchisement of the world. Or better yet, go subscribe to CJ the X. But if you're thinking about seeing them give a speech in the future, I don't know, here's a little bit of what to expect.
But what you didn't see in Michael's presentation was what the title "Shit is Very Bad" was from, because that's also a quote from this book. So the flex is that C.T. Nguyen wrote a book on games that I've referenced in Art is the Subjectivity in Art video. And that's the book that's a sequel to that book. And it releases in 2026, but they gave it to me. Sitting like crotch, like, you know, at the campfire, like at the party, like with like a beer. And like, he's like, what do you guys do? And I was like, oh, I do like philosophy, like art stuff, like YouTube. And like lecture stuff, live show stuff now too. And he's like, yeah, what do you lecture about? And I was like, oh, you know, just like stuff like society, culture, you know? And he was like, no, like what? And he kept pushing me, and then eventually like got me to like explain the whole lectures. And then he was like, if you could make everybody in the world understand one thing right now, what would it be? And he's like, no, what would it be? And I was like, it's distance. It's that if you had distance from the thing that you think you want, that's where you actually get it.
So I went up to ask a question in the Q&A, and the first guy in line like asked the exact question that I wanted to ask about global disenfranchisement. So I panicked and I got selfish with my question. So like, as somebody who was laid off from The Onion, I really do like empathize with Michael a lot. Having gone through like a similar situation in the past and having it like devastate me, I kind of wanted to direct my question a little bit more at him.
I've got a very sort of like depressing question. I just watched Wisecrack get demolished by capitalism. So I'm trying to get into like, you know, becoming a YouTuber, and I watch like essentially everything telling me don't do this, don't like destroy your life. What would you say to somebody who's trying to do that?
So I think that if you're trying to do that, it just can't be something that you're doing with the teleology of it being a definitely stable, monetizable career. It's just like not. I worked at a company that did YouTube stuff for a while, so I had the stability of paychecks and benefits coming from one like that guy, but he was consistent. Now doing it independently, like there's a level of anxiety of seeing numbers go up and down and not know. So I would just say if it's something you're doing, do it because you give a shit about it, because you find something important about it, because you can identify a community that kind of like fucks with what you're doing. But I think have realistic expectations because it's hard, and a lot of the technologies we're all talking about today, you know, are intertwined with digital content production. So
I feel like consider strongly just like getting the hobby and stuff. There's a crazy survivorship bias on the stage right now. There's a reason we're all gonna be like, don't do it. Well, then I'd say that's how I started too. I was helping my brother who edited for YouTube, and so it was all there, so it's like worth it to try. But yeah, like I said, don't expect success in a bizarre way. It's kind of the best.
Fun fact, actually, I was a fan of Ben from Canada. Before I was a fan of CJ the X, I didn't even know that they were related for like ages. Ben, you gotta make more videos, man. You got a fan here. All right, let's close out here by talking about that thing I kept bringing up in this video, the mass disenfranchisement of the world. Because while making this video, I actually sent an email to CJ to ask for permission to use some of the footage that I shot. And they asked me if Kill the Internet helped at all with my depression. Kinda. I mentioned not really being able to like envision the future. Obviously, that's something I've been thinking a lot about. And I have a feeling this book, Immediacy, is really gonna be an eye-opener. So I'm excited to read that. One of the big themes of CJ's speech was that we've lost our sense of wonder in the world. And their solution to the mass disenfranchisement of the world is some combination of like art, religiosity, and like social connection, community building, getting off the internet, basically. If there was like a theme to Kill the Internet, it's that certain aspects of the internet are leading to the mass disenfranchisement of the world. It's like a worldwide problem, so it's gonna take a worldwide solution. I don't know, personally, I think that's like the downfall of capitalism. I think it was like the founders of Google who said that the internet is like a container for information. It's where the word content comes from. And the obvious problem with that is that a container holds no meaning except for what you put inside of it. So if the internet is like this meaningless void that we are trying to apply meaning to, then it's really hard to get anything out of it that's meaningful. And what are we doing if we're killing the internet? We're getting outside, we're going out into the real world again, making human interactions and connections. What's the term? Touching grass? It was all stuff that I already knew, but sometimes it's nice to go and just have things that you already know confirmed for you, you know? So how am I gonna get out of my depression? I don't know, I guess I'm gonna keep making videos until the world's fixed, which I can definitely do all on my own. So like I said, if you want more videos about how to cure the mass disenfranchisement of the world, and videos that are just generally about like feeling hopeful about things or learning about the problems of the world and how to fix them, then I'm TV Travis, signing off. Or whatever. Like and subscribe.